You are sitting right now in an illuminated room, looking at a digital screen casting light on your face, thinking about a text message you just sent that reads, "I'm on my way, almost there," while you are still struggling to put on your shoes and spill your coffee. You are not shivering from the cold, nor are you being hunted by predators, nor do you fear starving to death on your doorstep. Yet, without even realizing it, you have just repeated the greatest and oldest invention ever created by the human species. You lied. But when did this all begin? How did a living creature, bound by the strict laws of nature, manage to pierce the solid wall of reality and utter something that does not exist? How was the first lie born in human history? If we travel back in time 50,000 years, to where flames dance in the darkness of a desolate cave, we would see your first ancestor gazing into the dark, doing something no other creature on Earth has ever done, uttering an illusion to change the course of history. The story does not begin with the lie in the negative moral sense we know today. The first lie was not a betrayal of a friend, nor an attempt to defraud a merchant, nor an escape from legal punishment. The first lie was a highly sophisticated tool of survival. In the language of anthropology and evolutionary psychology, it was the first major cognitive revolution that made humans the undisputed masters of planet Earth. Let us travel back in time. Let us take you on a journey to where the tale began. Tens of thousands of years ago, the human ancestor was nothing more than a fragile creature compared to the beasts of the Ice Age. You did not possess sharp claws to tear flesh, nor jaws to crush bones, nor was your running speed equal to that of the saber-toothed cat. You were simply a light and ideal meal for the creatures sharing your forest, or the African savanna. Your language, if it can even be called a language back then, consisted of simple, direct warning sounds, similar to those made by animals today. A short cry meaning danger from the sky, an eagle, or a deep roar meaning danger from the ground, a leopard. This language matched the tangible reality perfectly. No living creature could talk about something it could not see. A baboon could not scream, "Beware, there is an imaginary leopard hiding behind that tree," because animals cannot lie. Lying requires extremely complex mental capacity. It requires the ability to separate the mind from the present reality. Yet, something wondrous began to happen in the human brain. The cells of the neocortex began to evolve and grow. Amidst this ongoing struggle for survival, the great linguistic revolution born, which anthropologists call the cognitive revolution. Suddenly, humans found themselves capable of communication with unprecedented flexibility. Communication was no longer restricted to conveying literal information about the location of food or danger. Language could now describe things that did not exist at all. And right here, at that pivotal moment in the history of human consciousness, the first lie was spoken. Imagine the scene with us. Your ancestor stands with his small group beside a shallow river. The sun is tilting towards sunset, and darkness is beginning to impose its majesty on the forest. The atmosphere is charged with tension and anxiety. As everyone knows, predators begin their nocturnal activity at this time. One of the group members, let's call him A.O., wanders off looking for rare fruit or a safe place to sleep. A.O. discovers a tree heavy with juicy, succulent fruit, a rare and precious meal in that harsh era. A.O. looks back to see the rest of his group approaching with tired eyes and empty bellies. He told them the truth. Everyone would rush toward the tree, and the precious food would vanish in mere seconds, leaving him with nothing but scraps. Here, the human mind moves for the first time beyond the boundaries of reality. Swallows his saliva, looks into the eyes of his companions, points his hand toward the distant dark forest, and utters a warning, deceptive sound. There is a huge leopard guarding the other tree. Do not approach." Everyone freezes in their tracks. Breaths stop. Hearts race in fear. Everyone instantly believes the false warning. The group retreats backward with trembling steps and looks for an alternative shelter, while sneaks away in total silence to devour the fruit all by himself in pure bliss. At that precise moment, did not commit a moral crime. He executed the first successful cognitive manipulation in the history of human existence. He preempted reality, invented an imaginary world that existed nowhere except in his imagination, and used the word as a tool of control and direction over the behavior of others. He proved that words are capable of creating false truths powerful enough to move bodies and change the paths of life and death. Yet the story does not stop at the boundaries of individual selfishness or the desire to monopolize food. The true power of the first lie was not its ability to trick others so you could eat alone, but its ability to unite millions of people who do not know each other at all. How did the lie transform from an individual tool of deception into the foundation for building major civilizations? The famous historian and modern philosopher Yuval Noah Harari presents a profound and fascinating idea in his writings. Humans are the only creatures on Earth capable of cooperating with astonishing flexibility and in massive numbers. And the reason for this is neither their physical strength nor even their simple language, but their unique ability to believe in myths, legends, and non-material stories. Take a troop of chimpanzees, for example. A chimpanzee can cooperate with 10 or 20 other individuals at most, because they must know each other personally, smell each other's scents, groom fur, and engage in close physical proximity. If 100 chimpanzees try to gather in one place, chaos, fighting, and an immediate collapse of the group will ensue, because they lack the ability to imagine anything uniting them other than their direct material relationships. And humans? 1 million people can gather in a single square, or billions of people can cooperate in a massive financial, economic, legal, and international network without knowing each other. And some even hate seeing each other. How did this miracle happen? How could millions of humans trust one another like this? The secret lies in the evolution of the first lie into a shared collective imagination. When ancient humans began telling stories, tales were no longer restricted to deceiving group members about food. They evolved to encompass spirits, gods, symbolic tribes, and grand moral rules. When humans gathered around the cave fire at night, they no longer spoke only of fruit and hunting. Instead, shamans and tribal elders wove stunning fictional stories about invisible beings ruling the forest, about a sacred spirit inhabiting the great mountain, and about a mythical lion protecting the tribe that must be appeased with rituals and sacrifices. Were this spirit or god real entities that could be touched or seen under a microscope? Absolutely not. It was a grand lie, or more accurately, an organized shared fiction. But when everyone believed this collective lie, the lie transformed into a massive material force ruling and shaping reality. Imagine the impact of this collective lie on the mind of ancient human beings. When 100 men in the tribe believe that a god protects the tribe's sacred tree, and that whoever approaches it will be cursed with death, the tribal leader does not need to monitor every individual all the time to prevent them from stealing the tree. Rather, the shared belief in this illusory story makes everyone respect the law voluntarily. The collective lie enabled the birth of social order, tribal ethics, and shared identity. Thus, in a way that seems entirely paradoxical, human civilization was built on the wings of imagination and shared illusions. Law, state, money, corporations, and religions are all, at their core, advanced extensions of that first lie spoken by your ancestor beside the shallow river. The paper currency you carry in your pocket today, whether it is a dollar, a euro, or a real, has no intrinsic value in itself. If you gave a piece of paper currency to a starving person in the forest, he would reject it and eat a tree fruit instead. Paper currency is merely a story, or a collective lie, that billions of humans have agreed to believe in and recognize its illusory value. Without this illusory agreement, global trade would collapse in mere seconds. Let us take a step back and examine the human brain itself. How did this mind accept this evolution? How did neural cells adapt to this astonishing transition from the harsh world of material reality to the world of imagination and lies? Evolutionary psychology tells us that the human brain was fundamentally designed to be a machine for interpreting reality and creating meaning, rather than necessarily a machine for seeking absolute truth. For ancient humans facing a world full of terror and the unknown, harsh reality was deeply terrifying and frustrating. The truth is that you might die tomorrow from a mysterious disease, that your child might be devoured by a predator without moral reason, and that rain might not fall, causing the entire group to die of thirst. This cold truth was enough to induce despair and mental paralysis in any creature. Here, lies and imagination emerged as a protective psychological shield. When ancient humans invented stories, gods, and myths, they were not practicing malicious deception, but trying to tame this terrifying world and bestow meaning upon it. Lying and imagination granted humans the capacity for hope, the ability to imagine a better future that does not exist right now, and the power to say to themselves while starving, "If we perform the rituals today, the spirits will open the gates of heaven and send rain tomorrow." This organized illusion is what gave our ancestors the strength to keep marching and refuse to surrender to nothingness. In fact, some anthropologists go much further, asserting that the evolution of the ability to lie was the primary driver behind the expansion of the human brain. What is known as the social intelligence hypothesis, or the Machiavellian ape hypothesis, posits that the greatest challenge ancient humans faced was not a struggle against nature or predatory animals, but a struggle against members of their own species inside the tribe itself. To deceive someone else, you must first possess what psychologists call theory of mind, the astonishing ability to realize that the person in front of you possesses a mind, brain, and thoughts independent of your own, and that you are capable of knowing what they think or do not think, and thereby manipulating what they perceive to make them believe it. A chimpanzee does not possess this deep capacity. It views the world strictly from its immediate personal perspective. Humans, however, can stand in your shoes, understand what you assume to be true, and then construct a false story perfectly tailored to what is running through your mind, so you will believe it without a shadow of a doubt. Imagine the amount of arduous and complex processing that takes place in a fraction of a second inside an ancient human's brain to successfully invent a coherent lie. 1. They must know the true reality accurately. 2. They must imagine the listener's mind and what they might or might not believe. They must create an entirely non-material scenario from scratch. They must control their facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language to look convincing and free of doubt. They must monitor the listener's reaction and adjust the story as it is being told to eliminate any flaws. This complex process is what exercised and developed the prefrontal cortex of the human brain over thousands of generations and epochs, until this brain became capable of inventing mathematics, philosophy, physics, atomic science, and great literary narratives. In simpler and more shocking words, without our early capacity for lying and fictional deception, we would never have possessed the capacity to invent scientific truth and advanced human thought today. The dividing line between false imagination and rigorous science is merely a thin thread of evidence and empirical testing. Both originate from the same wondrous source, the human brain's ability to imagine what does not exist and make it appear real. Let us now move to another scene, thousands of years after that moment by the river. The cave is now wider, the group has turned into a clan, and the clan has transformed into an expansive tribe. Fire is still the center of the world, but the shape has changed completely. Now the storyteller or shaman sits in the middle of the cave, surrounded by the glowing eyes of young and old alike, waving his hands in the shadows to recount an epic tale about their ancestors who fought ice giants or ascended to the sky to secure the first fire for humanity. Did those battles with ice giants literally happen in this mythical way? Probably not. But everyone here is listening with absolute awe and reverence. Stomachs tighten, eyes widen, and the morale of the entire group rises. This false story achieved something no material food could ever achieve. It bound the members of the tribe together with a sacred bond of shared memory and unified identity. It made individuals realize they are not merely random creatures living and dying in vain, but part of a grand epic stretching across time. Here, the lie transformed from a selfish individual interest, like Ah's action when he kept the fruit for himself, into a social glue that builds societies, states, and civilizations. Societies that succeeded in inventing strong and stable collective stories, myths, and lies were the only ones that survived, expanded, and dominated the planet, while tribes that remained trapped in direct material reality and unable to imagine or collectively lie became extinct. So, the next time you look in the mirror, listen to a politician deliver a ringing speech, watch a commercial selling you a shiny illusion, or even when you tell a small white lie to your friend to protect their feelings from being hurt, remember this well: you are not doing anything sudden or foreign to your nature. You are practicing the most original and ancient heritage in human history. You are reenacting that glorious moment when your first ancestors stood in the darkness of the cave, defied the limits of objective reality, and uttered the word that changed everything. A word with no physical existence, yet it built the world we live in today. The first lie was not the fall of humanity. Rather, it was its grand launch toward the skies of imagination, consciousness, and civilization. From that moment until this very day, humans no longer live in the real world at all. Instead, they live always and forever in the worlds of stories, illusions, and dreams they forge for themselves.